It is this March 9, 2018 handshake that brought post-2017 election hostilities in the country to an end. A handshake that has been hailed by many, even outside Kenya's borders, for its role in bringing peace and stability into a land that was marked by heightened tensions as the country underwent not one, but two elections. But this handshake has also created deep fault lines in the political class and changed the lives of many a politician in Kenya. 2 years on, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto's bromance, witnessed before the handshake, has not only faded, but the two are now locked in 2022 succession proxy wars through the Building Bridges initiative as they drift further and further apart with each waking day. And tonight, Ruto's key ally and Elgeyo Marakwet Senator Kipchumba Murkomen has now taken the battle to President Kenyatta's doorstep, telling him to come clean on his role in his deputy's tribulations, ranging from graft war to murder in the deputy president's office.
The reality is that, unfortunately, the deputy president is facing the kind of onslaught from within government officers that leaves questions, a lot of questions to be answered as to what is the role of the president in the suffering and the persecution that his deputy is going through.
Since the handshake, the deputy president has faced a relentless campaign by ODM party leader Raila Odinga and President Kenyatta's allies, linking him to mega graft scandals, with Ruto finding himself in constant firefighting mode as he links the allegations to 2022 politics.
Kwa sababu Uhuru Kenyatta anamalizia, sasa wananilenga ati kwa mambo ya 2022. Mimi nawaambia watulize boli bwana, mambo ya 2022 bado.
Ruto has often clashed with Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i and his peers Karanja Kibicho, whom he accuses of undermining him. Matters came to a head this past week in the wake of police officer Kipyegon Kenei's murder attached to his office. Ruto accusing what he termed as the deep state, seeking to end his political career.
Pengine waliwe mimi, lakini sitarudi nyuma. Siwezi kurudi nyuma.
That the deputy president has become an outsider in the Jubilee administration.
Quite a statement from the DP right there. They'd rather take his life, but he's moving on forward. So whatever is happening, he's resolute with that. And this is just a reflection of 2 years on since the handshake. As the Daily Nation puts it, peacemaker or con game, they ask, and they stand there looking at the hands that rocked Kenya. When you look at the handshake right now, because some people saying the biggest part of it was the 9-point agenda that came out from that particular meeting, which is now the BBI moving forward. It was supposed to bring Kenyans together. Has it done that?
Let me ask the question. For it to be a con game, who's being conned? Kenyans? And of what? You see, it's easy to bandy political narratives around, but let's look at the facts as they were then. The facts as they were then is there were maps being given out on Twitter, distributed on Twitter, showing how Kenya is split, okay, and saying that this section of the country wants a country of their own. We also remember there was a swearing in where we had declared a people's president. We also remember that any time Raila would land back at JKIA, none of us would go to work, okay? We also remember that there was Baby Pendo, and this country was in chaos. We forget quite easily that large swaths of Nyanza province did not vote in the second election in 2017. So did it bring peace between that side of the country and the other side of the country? Yes, it did. Mm-hmm. Now, where did it cause division? It caused division within Jubilee. And why did it cause division within Jubilee? Because there are some within Jubilee who saw the handshake and still see the handshake as a route to power for Raila Odinga. Okay? And that's why they call it conmanship. Because they feel, and this is what the con is, they feel is that it was 10 years of Uhuru, 10 years of Ruto, and the handshake in between is a betrayal of the next 10 years. which I have argued time and again that 2022 was never meant to be a coronation. It was always going to be a democratic process. And if a democratic process, then it means there are a number of people who would stand against William Ruto. It is no guarantee that Jubilee, as currently constituted, would win the 2022 elections. That said, am I still a supporter of the handshake? Yes, I am. And I'll tell you why. Because for the first time, I saw a Kikuyu president go to Nyanza and be received well. Now, that is something that we need to do. At the same time, I have seen the Kalenjin and Kikuyu who fought bitterly in 2007. I have seen them within this Jubilee government come together. Now, let me also be clear. This current division is not a real division of the Kenyan people. It is a division of the political elite, and they've decided to bring us into it. And I'd like to echo what Sankok said. And I'd like to tell this to our leaders. The fight you're having is between the three of you. And by the three, I mean Raila, Uhuru, and Ruto. The rest of us have nothing to do with it. Their fights do not affect my price of bread or the price of my tea. The fact that they're dragging us into it emotionally and trying to blackmail our emotions for us to feel for them when they're having a very private squabble is not fair.
Let me bring in Joe on this because a part of the handshake was at BBI. In the BBI, there's a chapter on corruption. And some people have spoken about the fact that the handshake has emboldened the war on corruption. We've seen that happen. But some others are saying that it's now become parlance used on Twitter in different forums. There's now a place where you can go to have all your sins wiped away in terms of corruption. We've seen that happening in different BBI rallies. Someone comes up to speak, and there's a glaring case of corruption that they're still fighting on. They are not allowed into their office as a governor, but yet here they are at a forum they're supposed to be fighting against corruption. Is that what we're seeing also now, selective war on corruption?
When we weaponize or when we deal with the war on corruption selectively, that becomes an argument. But as a Kenyan, I don't care whether it is selective or not, as long as corruption is being fought. That's the bottom line. And even if mnalemewa sana because you're no longer in favor, well, that's too bad for you. Should have been corrupt in the first place. And the others who are not feeling the heat right now, their turn is coming because, like Oda is saying here, we have prayed, Kenyans have prayed, and eventually all of you will be brought to book. So in terms of the fight against corruption, I'm not really concerned which side is getting fought, as long as there is a fight against corruption, because in this country we lose too much to corruption for us to leave it to chance. Let me talk about the BBI a little bit. The handshake, sorry, a little bit. When the handshake happened, Mark is right. There's a part of this country that was, we were talking about secession, there was a splitting that was supposed to happen. And we were not at a good place as a country. And so now we have been able to sort of get ourselves from that mode into another mode where there is a conversation. Now, this conversation has been a bit of a mixed bag. Sometimes people are actually able to communicate, and sometimes it's not very, it seems to open new cracks when it's supposed to be closing old cracks. But the thing that I'm grateful for is that people are talking. I've had an opportunity to interact, to go to some public rallies, and I've had an opportunity to go to some of the validation meetings. And I'll tell you something. When you go to the rallies, there's a lot of hype, a lot of energy. And that situation where there's not much communication that goes on. But when you turn up at the validation meetings, there's a lot of communication going on. People engage even with the steering committee, ask them questions. The steering committee asks you questions back. Ouda comes with his paper and he reads all of it. When he's done, they challenge him on some of the recommendations he's making. And there you can see there's a communication going on. I'm one of those people who believes that every problem has a solution. But also in the seed of every solution, in the solution that you have now, there's a seed of a new problem. The BBI, the handshake solved something, but created other problems. Right. The BBI is solving something and is creating other problems. Leadership is anticipating those new problems and offering a direction to people on how to navigate out of it. We've come to a place as a country, because of all these worms that have come out of the can now, we've opened the can of worms, and Kenya now is having a national conversation, are having a national discussion about it. The leadership I wish our politicians would give right now is to be selfless and to not look at their ambitions and the machinations of 2022, but to just listen to what Kenyans are saying. People actually are not just intelligent, but they're coming up with some excellent suggestions. Some of the papers that are being delivered, you see some of the suggestions coming through. If we actually implemented them, would go a long way. But over and above that, to the BBI team, one of the encouragement that I have for them is that keep doing what you're doing. There's a political noise and everything that is going on, but keep doing what you're doing, because at the end of this, what is going to constitutional amendment is just a bit of it. But if you read the BBI report, a lot of it can be done, like if you're talking about national ethos. That is a lack of national ethos. That is something that we can cure by getting some national ethos through some things we can. So there are some things in that report that even without the politicians lining up, we as a people can move forward and can be a better people for it. So I would that we have less of, today I'm not feeling politics. Today I wish the politics would just hush up, punguza volume, and let the voice of the mwananchi ongeza volume.
Okay. Sankok, from the handshake to the BBI report, everybody said it's a wonderful document. They said that what the former PM and the president did was a very good gesture for the country. This is what they needed to do. Yet here we are still having these divisions on how we move forward as far as this report is concerned and what it really is about. What are these new divisions? Because at Bomas, nobody had a problem with the document. Nobody had anything to say that was ill or what they had received in Bomas. Yet here we are.
Jeff, even the drug that will treat and cure you
has
some side effect. Anything in this world, even if you eat too much, it will have some side effect. If you eat too little, it will have some side effect.
So what are the side effects?
Handshake is bound to have some side effect, but let us speak the truth, that handshake is the best thing that ever happened in Kenya, and that our president was extremely intelligent, progressive, and had Kenyans in his heart, so that he can make sure that we have brought peace. Remember,
Mark is shocked as
remember, no, remember,
Mark is shocked as he said that.
Remember that at that time, as Joy said, that there was this issue of secession. Mark said that we had two presidents. You know, a country that had two presidents who are going into division, like what happened in Sudan, where we had Southern Sudan and Sudan Khartoum. Now, for the president, in his own logical thinking, decided that let me bring Kenya together. Even though this issue of the handshake may bring some shivers in my own political party, but those are just little side effects. But I have something to cure. The drug have something to cure. And the drug called handshake came in and cured Kenya. And that is why we have a very peaceful business environment. We have very peaceful political environment. Even though this little noise, I can assure you those are just some little side effects. You remember that some of the noise that are coming out is that the deputy president is lonely, he have no function, he have no portfolio, because the CS oversees government projects. But you know, the cabinet secretary for interior and national government coordination, what does that mean? He is not a super CS. He was given what is due in terms of our constitution, how it describes the office of the CS of interior. It's just performing his function. There is nothing more than that, because essentially the deputy president is part of the presidency and is only supposed to deputize the president, to act when the president is not there, or to act when the president has sent him to do this job or the other job. Not that he have a special kind of office like that of a CS. No. The function of the deputy president are entirely tied up with the function of the president. And he only perform those functions when the president is not there. The Interior Ministry is performing the functions that were given by him. And now, as Joy have said, this BBI have brought a national conversation where everything that you think went wrong, everything that has been agreed in you, that in every 5 years during election, you bring out those issues in terms of violence. Don't bring in terms of violence, Don't wait for the election. Bring them out in terms of conversation. Let's sit in a table and converse. And in fact, some of us, even from the pastoralist community, have come out and said,
okay,
no.
Just 1 second, Sankok. Please just 1 second. Let me get to order. I'll be back to Sankok. Sankok, give me 1 second. Sankok, I'm going to order on this.
I'm finishing.
I'm finishing. Order. Yes, sir. I need to fix your microphone. Can you just give me 1 second to have the microphone fixed? Okay. That's the issue. Thank you very much. So let me move to order on this because we're talking about the BBI versus the Big Four as well. And some people are saying that at this particular point in time, we've moved our shift from what the president had promised in terms of his Big Four. And because that isn't working, let's run and make noise about the BBI. Yet, as we talk about this national conversation, what people are asking, and you'll hear from very many people, where are the jobs? Where is the money? That's what they want to know, yet we're going around talking about executive positions and and cohesion, and they're like, we just want a job. That's all I read.
No, let me tell you, Jeff, those are just pessimistic Kenyans, or people are against the handshake, or people are against the BBI. I've said here before, the fact that you're working does not mean you can't chew gum.
It seems like you're having a problem.
No, there's nothing like that. You know, it's only that media likes politics. There's a lot that is going on. And that's why the other day, President Uhuru Kenyatta had to switch cabinet, to do the cabinet reshuffle. Not because there are some people he hated, but because he wanted some people to perform. And as you are talking now, it's only that now BBI has now come out and it's everywhere. But there's a lot of work going on. The infrastructure, the food insecurity,
okay,
so many things are coming up.
So you say that, but even as of yesterday, I want to come to that on what you're saying as well, because even as you say that, as of yesterday, the reports were, in terms of unemployment, it's been the highest we've had since 2015. Agriculture has taken a back seat for the first time in terms of foreign exchange. So when we talk about the numbers, they're not reflective on the ground.
Let's contextualize what you've said, and you don't forgive me, but I have to blast you a little bit. Let's be focused here, okay? Since 2015, agriculture has dropped, but of course, have you looked at our rainfall patterns? Have you looked at the climate change that we have? Right. Now, how does that have to do with the BBI and the government?
I'll respond to that. What I'm saying is, if it's part of the Big Four agenda, you did know this climate change, you did know that the rainfall pattern is changing. That's why you are focusing on it.
Let's finish.
So if you're focusing on it, the one thing you're focusing on is
that's the thing. You see, you can focus on driving and still have an accident. Let's be clear. Even the best drivers in the world get accidents. And the truth of the matter is, Kenya is a country whose agriculture is dependent on the climate. Now, the fact is, since 2015, the world over, look at food production. It has declined. Secondly, when you say that we are having challenges economically, let us look at the economy of the world today. Which country in the globe is not complaining about unemployment numbers, about slow GDP growth? It is worldwide. Why is it worldwide? Because there have been trade wars between the US and China. Because China took steel and kept it for 3 months without selling it. You know, we must always learn to contextualize. This lazy journalism of blaming everything that happens in this country on government is wrong, because it is
the reason
always
government
where government is doing
I want to jump to Oda, but to Sankok, what I'm saying is it's not lazy journalism, because it's the four things. I'll come to you.
My mic was switched off.
It's the four things that you're focusing on are the four things that are failing. It's not lazy journalism.
The truth is, what is failing?
If the agriculture is
listen,
it's the one thing that because healthcare, let's look at the four things that have been promised.
So healthcare is failing. There's no healthcare in this country.
When you look at where they've gotten in terms of even the money for universal healthcare, where they're getting that from. There are so many questions, because even as of yesterday,
but
budget policy statement,
there's a difference between failure. There's a difference between failure and challenge. Let's be clear.
Even on completion, that one is a discussion for another day.
Let's have that discussion. Thank you very much, because the mic is on now. I think it was switched off because of what I was discussing.
No, it is not.
We had shocked to some people. But, you know, the reality and the truth is the truth. And what my friend is saying about agriculture, climatic pattern, we have ways of mitigating, including irrigation, which we actually conceive as a country. But anyway, I was saying, before I was rudely interrupted, that this BBI have opened up a conversation. Some of us from the pastoralist communities had an opportunity, instead of rendering our issues during post-election violence, were told, don't wait for election to bring out your issues in violence, bring them out now in a conversation, in a discussion, in a round table. And that is what we are doing. Like for us, the pastoralists, we have said, what has been ailing us is the issue of land. And land does not only mean that land was taken away from the Maasai or land was taken away from northern Kenya. It means that we have been using one parameter to share resources and to do election in terms of our country. And a country is not defined by one parameter of population. The country is defined by landmass and population. So we say, as much as you talk of one man, one vote, 1 shilling, we also need to talk about landmass, which means 1 kilometer, 1 vote, and 1 shilling. We also had, like yesterday, I was in front of the BBI, representing persons with disability. We had all persons with disability across the country, leadership of persons with disability. We went to represent our issues. We had members of parliament representing persons with disability, including Kenyatta Gati. We had the chairman, National Council for Persons with Disability, CBM, Christian Blind Mission, all those organizations. And we went there, and we had a conversation. What have been ailing disability issue in this country? It is 1, 2. When we go to the election of 2022, everybody will have brought out their mind, they will have spoken their issue, and there will be no room for violence. So I think that one is the best thing that has ever happened to this country. Now the last point is, you brought about the issue of political conmanship. We are not saying political conmanship in terms of the BBI or in terms of the handshake. We are referring to political conmanship in terms of pay bill number 672 that was supposed to raise funds to pay our striking teachers. No teacher was ever paid. We are talking about the pay bill number 991-444, which was to raise funds for a repeat election, and those who raised those funds did not go to the repeat election. Therefore, that was what we are saying, political conmanship, but not BBI and not handshake.
Ouda, you wanted to finish your point?
Of course, number one, the issue of election or no election, those are gone issues. Whatever was raised there, actually it was kept in safe custody and it's there in the party. We are using them. 2, we saved...
Turned into party funds?
No, let me tell you, even if we didn't go for elections, we saved some cock. Because if we would have gone for that rerun, we would have won. And so some of these things just decided, let's leave them there because we really didn't want to embarrass you so much. So anyway, that's that. And Jeff, I will repeat. Jeff, in this country, let's not keep blaming things everywhere. I sit in the Agriculture Committee. So in talk of agriculture, we only needed to add more funds. And I told you when the PS, when you appeared before us, that we need to put more, we need to put more money in research, and we need to put more money in irrigation for us to go forward as a country in terms of agriculture. So I don't think BBI has stopped agriculture from going forward. No, things are happening, as I was stating. Health sector, so much is happening. But again, as a country, in this country, I don't know, we are so politically motivated and connected, and we like politics as a country. So as long as BBI can bring in some political tones, the newspapers will sell. I'm trying to imagine, Jeff, that today you wake up every Monday and your headline is shortage of drugs looms over corona, and daily, another thing when you look at nation, it will be, GDP falls. I'm telling you, you guys will be returning your newspapers daily. Your newspaper should be reading Raila, Uhuru, Ruto, Ouda, Sonkok for you to sell. And that's not because those are the kind of headlines you like, but because you're also in business. You need to sell. But you can't sell when you're talking about corona and agriculture and I don't know what. So, Jeff, to me, Uhuru is doing well. To me, Uhuru's government is doing well, excluding the people who are complaining about the system. And 2, I must also say today, Songok has been very reasonable in this show, to be very honest, Jeff. I don't need to bash Songok all the time. Today he's seen the reason why Handshake came. Today Songok has been saved and seen the reason why BBI is good. Today Songok, yesterday Songok went before the leader and presented his views. And let me tell you, Songok, I will actually do my best during the referendum to make sure, even if I appear before these people, I'll actually reinforce what you put in there yesterday, that they are captured, because, I mean, this kind of salvation, Jeff, this is what we need for this country.
Just a minute, because you have to
have a change.
What I put there in terms of person with disability, we need an electoral college so that person with disability can elect their own representative. Because I've been in a quagmire, because my loyalty is to the party, because I only have one vote. But I suggested that let person with disability, through electoral college, elect their representative, so that at least the loyalty can be divided between the party that sponsored you and also the electorate. Okay. At the moment, those nominated members don't have loyalty to their the people they represent. They only have loyalty to their political party.
Because of time, we'll have to wind it up right there as far as our newspaper review is concerned this morning. But we'd like your views to come in as well on our social media platforms. You can get us on Facebook and Twitter at K24 TV. You can also SMS us on 21222. If you're on WhatsApp, the line is scrolling on the bottom of your screen. Mark Bichachi, thank you so much for making time this morning. Honorable Ole Sankok, thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much. I think because you have just come, you have not come with the coronavirus.
Join me, but thank you so much for making time this morning as well to be on the show. Honorable Oda, thank you so much.
RIP to the Dori family. Rest in peace, my friends.
Take a short break. We're back onto the side as we get interactive.